Hi everyone, this is Alan Denbury and I'm here to take you through the Ubiquity Content Cloud. Content Cloud is developed to give maximum flexibility for developing over-the-top video solutions. You can see here we're looking at one of our demo sites that lists various different movies and TV series. You can go in, take a look at the details, view a trailer, and you'll see the makeup of the page here. It's a very straightforward web page. But within there you'll see box cover art indicating some of the movies and TV series, as well as if you drill into some of the details on any of these, you get detailed metadata related to that movie or that TV episode. So in this case we're looking at The Huntsman, Winter War, and you can see the details in here around certificate, running times, who stars in it, and an overview and description of what the actual title is. Everything you see in the page here, including the images that we're looking at, the background image and the poster, are all coming from our Content Cloud search APIs. And you look at the menus here again, if you go into these, they're generating a search that then returns the results from the API that are rendered and presented in the front end here. So here we're looking at all movies, and that gets listed out with the image artwork that is contained against each one. So what we're going to do today is just run through how do we actually pull together the detail around what makes up the information that's in those pages. So you'll have three documents that will be given to you. One is around the search API, and this is really the heart of the system and includes all of the metadata. The image service, which is how you retrieve and render images relating to each asset or title. And then we also have a playback retrieve set of methods that allow you to actually play back content once you've retrieved the metadata around it, going in and playing out each of the assets. So what we'll start with is the Retail Search API. As I say, this is the heart of the system. It is a set of search APIs that allow you to query the system to get details on each of the individual assets that are contained herein. And each asset can either relate to a movie, an individual movie, or it can be an episode or a series or a brand relating to TV content. The document itself gives you a description of how the search APIs are constructed, the syntax around them, and the parameters that you can pass in order to manipulate the results that are returned. So if you look in here, if you look down the document, there is a set structure, of course, as you'd expect from the way that the search URL is constructed. It basically consists of an endpoint, a key for accessing it, together with some parameters. Here we're looking at some of those parameters that you can enter in. All of the details are set out in the document. And here we have some of the available values and indexes that are contained within the Search API. Towards the end of the document, as you scroll down, there are a set of examples that set out how to actually construct your searches and gives you some examples as to how you can retrieve and manipulate those results. So if we take a look at a simple search to start with, we'll start with just retrieving the first 50 movies. So if we look at the URL here, you'll see it's constructed with the standard API. Structure is the same for each request, so starting with the URL, the key. Here we're defining whether or not we're using the movie search index or the series, in this case it's movies. And then after the key is actually the search parameters themselves. So here we're just searching for everything, which by default will return the first 50 results. So if we just copy that URL, go into our browser, paste that in here, and here you can now see the result set. So you get a verbose result returned here, which includes all of the details of the first 50 movies returned in the search. So here we have, you'll see the details around the actual titles themselves, the actors in them, the year of release, synopsis details, and of course technical information about the actual assets themselves. Here we're looking at the availability window, so when can this actual asset be played out and be offered to customers, some short summary for a synopsis, and so on. So this complete list here, you can get the first 50 assets, as I say, and if you want to then retrieve the next 50 assets, then it's a case of calling the URL but skipping the first 50 results. So here you'll see we've added a parameter at the end here to say skip to position 51. So if we now take that, enter that into our browser, we'll now get the next 50 results. So again, you get all of the information returned for each asset. That's included here, but you're now looking at the next 50 results. So if we go back to our document, okay, so let's now do the same search, but this time do it for a series rather than for a movie. So structure of the URL, exactly the same. We're just changing this value here. Instead of using the movie index, we're going to use the series. Enter that in here. And now what we're getting are a set of results relating to TV content. So here you can see I'm looking at a Game of Thrones episode, a Gotham episode, and so on. As we move down the result set here, the structure is identical. You're getting information such as the title, information as to who stars in it as an actor, the year of release, any ratings and genres and so on, all included in the result set. Going back to the document, let's now search for a movie with a specific match. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add a search parameter in of a simple string, so in this case Ali. We're going to copy that, we'll pass that into the browser now, and what we'll see is the system will return any movie, as we're looking in the movie search here, that matches that particular string within any of the search fields. So here in this case, title short, I am Ali, particular movie. We can see all of the details in here, the synopsis, the actors and so on as normal, but the result set is just restricted to whatever is returned by that search. If we build on that for the series, again, exactly the same structure. This time we're just going to search for Thrones. You'll notice that the URL is now pointing to the series search, and here we now have a set of episodes returned that match the string of Thrones. So, no surprise, Game of Thrones. And all of the details associated with that. In this case, we're looking at a brand is the first result returned. Now a brand is the highest level of TV content, that is the actual show. And then below that you have a season, which is a season within a brand. And then if you look at the distinction here of episodes, they are the lowest level in TV content. Episodes sit within a season and seasons sit within a brand. So in this case Game of Thrones is the brand, season 1 is the season of course, and then a particular episode will result or refer to each individual instance of that season. So now we're going to do a search, slightly different this time. We're going to search for content belonging to a particular genre. So the structure here is the search term is in this case comedy, but we're going to add in a search field of genre, primary genre, add that into the search in the browser, and now what happens is everything that matches the string of comedy in the search field of primary genre will be returned. So if we just do a quick find in here, you'll see that each of the primary genres in these search results returned match up to comedy. Carrying on the same vein, now we're going to search for movies with a particular actor. So this time the search string is going to be Tyson, and the search field is going to be actor. If we grab that URL, post that into the browser, and now we're going to get any movies that have an actor of Tyson in it. So first result here, I Am Ali. If we look at the actors, you've got George Foreman and of course Mike Tyson, and that's why this particular result has been returned in the result set. Exactly the same principle for series, the same structure, same parameters, just changing the search URL to the series rather than the movie. Post that in. So now we're looking for Dinklage, and Peter Dinklage is coming up as the returned results, of course in Game of Thrones. And here are all of the various different episodes within Game of Thrones, all of them returned with the same actor value of Dinklage, and so we've got those in the results set. So now if we want to actually return only certain fields, we don't want a verbose result, we just want certain values returned. You build the string in the same way, so the search is the same, the search field is the same, but now we're going to add in an additional value of we only want to select title long. So if we paste this into the browser, what we'll get now is it's the same search, but now we're saying all we're interested in is retrieving the title long value. So now the system will return the results, but only return the title long for each result returned. So now if we want to build that up slightly more and we want multiple values, so again, exactly the same search strings, the same search field, but now what we're going to do is just put an array of values in there. We want title long, we want year, and we want details of the box cover art for any results returned. Paste that in. So now we get the results come back. We're now getting every returned result includes a title long field, includes the year, and includes any box cover artwork that is available for that particular, in this case, episode. So if we now perform the same result, but this time for movies, we're going to grab a box cover, the year, and the title long. We paste that in. So now we're going to get the same result, but for movies. So in this case again, we have the title long for each value returned, the year, and the box cover. So in this case there is box cover art available, and here you can see the URL for that box cover art. And if we just copy that and then paste that into a new tab, you'll see the image returned. Now we'll come on to images in a little while. There are values that you can add into the URL that controls the quality and the width of the image, but we'll cover that off in a moment. So carrying on with the search strings here, so now we want the title long, the year, and the box cover, but we only want it for the top 5 movies returned. So here again, search string, we're now going to say return everything. We're going to say give me the title long, the year, and the box cover art, but now we're going to say only give the top 5 results. So if we grab that URL, paste that into the browser, the results here are just returning the top 5 movies. So Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, all the details in here together with the other 4 titles returned. And then finally, if we want to search for a specific identifier, we've identified in one of our previous searches a unique identifier for a title, so we can pass that into the search string at the end, and it will return all of the details just for that one title. And we can see that in the results here. Which matches, as you can see here, the title identifier for this particular item. So a moment ago we had a brief look at images. So now what we're going to do is jump into the image service documentation. Again, this is structured exactly the same way. It describes how the image service works and some of the parameters that you can pass in to control the quality of the image. So you can control the width of the image for the size, you can control the quality to reduce the quality to speed up loading and reduce the overhead on data. And you can also crop images as well. The structure of the image URL is there, but don't forget that the image URL is returned in each of the metadata sets within the search API. But what you can do is, with this API, you can then control how the image is served up to the front end. So here, if we first of all just grab this URL here, it's just going to straightforward load the full quality image. So if we paste that in here, so this is the full unchanged image. But if we want to control the quality values on it, then we can start to add some values on the end here. So we're going to say a quality of 40% of the original, and we're going to say a width of 100 pixels here. So if we grab this URL, copy that and paste it into the browser. So now we're looking at the image width of 100 and a quality value of 40. And we can play around with these parameters to set different width and quality values, and if necessary we can crop images as well. So change the size there to 400 instead of 100. Or we can change the quality threshold as well. So if we drop that down, you'll see the quality degrades quite significantly, but of course the loading time will be much faster because there's less data being passed. Set that back up again and the quality improves. Finally, for playback, the final document describes in detail how playback URLs are handled, and this is slightly more complicated because of the security restrictions in place for protecting content. So basically a request is made to the resolve service that returns values which can then be passed into the HTML5 player for playback either of trailer content or of main assets themselves. Detail in the document sets out how you can obtain the playback URL using the resolve method and then the arguments that can be passed into that. Also contained in the document are some examples. So you can either use the Content Cloud reference player, which is within the Azure Media Player, to play back the results, or you can use a JavaScript player, and there's some sample code included in the document, together with some samples of playback URLs. So for example, if we click on that one, it launches in the default Azure Media Player, and here we're looking at the trailer for I Am Ali. So between the Retail Search API, which I've shown you can use to retrieve any amount of information on the individual assets themselves, the image service to retrieve and render images for each of those assets, and then the playback URLs for actual playback, there's information in there that allows you to build up a website that is a video on demand service.